and welcome along to the NUFC360 Podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Montgomery, and tonight I'm joined by our full crew for the first time in quite a while. And we've got Max, Matt, and Joel. And because we're just back together, guys, I'm going to individually ask you how you are. Max, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm great. I just found out I'm having tickets to the Chelsea game in November when I'm flying over, so I'm over the moon right now.
Very good. When was the last time you got over to a game?
3 years ago, Everton at home during Benitez era, 3-2 win. So it's quite a good game. Hard to top, but I think we'll do it.
Nice. Joel, how are you?
Yes, very, very good. Just enjoying constantly speaking about how good Newcastle are really and how good that footballer called Bruno or something. He's all right as well. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad. And Matt, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, thank you. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks because I'm up for the Everton game. So that'll be interesting.
Very good. Matt, or the Kieran Trippier of this podcast, as someone dubbed you during the week, which I still maintain.
I'll put my name with Trippier on the bottom.
You should have done next week. I maintain as a compliment. He's a good-looking dude. And if you'd even just a third of his right foot, then you'd be living it up. Yeah, gents. Tonight we're going to chat about, as Joel mentioned, about Bruno. We're going to have a chat about, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Europe, which we're nailed on for, obviously, but we'll chat about that. And we'll have a look at our best performers this league. And we'll finish off with a wee game. It's not Defend the Indefensible, don't worry. It's an actual game. You will hopefully enjoy it. It's not painful or torturous or anything like that. And you can play along. Watching at home, please do. If you are watching, please do get your comments in there and we'll do our very best to get those questions answered for you and get involved in the show. And of course, like and subscribe, please. It really does help us grow the channel. Well, far on with our first topic, and it is that man. It is Bruno Guimaraes. And Max, I'm going to start off with a question. I'm going to ask everybody, but you're coming first. And it's been asked by a lot of people on social media. In the wake of Bruno's unbelievable performance against Brentford at the weekend. Is Bruno, I'll not say best ever, because that's subjective depending on how long you've supported Newcastle or been alive for, because I doubt you watched Jackie Milburn and people like, you know what I mean? So is Bruno the best midfielder in your lifetime?
Definitely, yes. And I think it's hard to appreciate how good he is until you've seen him live. I've only seen him on the television, and he looks really good on TV. But I'd imagine Joe might agree with me on this, that is quite more better in real life when you see him play and you see him move across the pitch and how he plays. It's so hard to follow that on TV. And for me, I can't think of anyone who comes close to his ability in midfield area. The only one I can think of, as you said, during my time as a supporter, is John Shelby, and that tells you quite a lot. So
it does, yeah.
Mikel Merino, maybe.
Yes, that's a good shout. Unfulfilled potential there. Yeah, and there was an article I read recently, actually, and I don't remember who wrote it, so I apologise. Not that they're watching, but basically it was about that Merino would have been perfect for this team. Producer Mark has said that, in fairness, Max is so young, he has not seen that many midfielders, which is a very good point. Joel, yeah, well, that's true. It's a compliment and an insult. A compusult. That's a new word for you, Max. Joel, were you there on Saturday?
Yeah, I was, and I think.
How did you take in Bruno's performance?
Yeah, I think that is definitely in his top 3 performances, possibly the best one. I mean, it's just all like, Max is saying there. I mean, he can appreciate how good he is to an extent, but when you see him in person, all of the little intricacies, like he seriously never loses the ball. Like, no matter where he is in the pitch, if he's getting pressed by 2-3 people, that player will find a way out every single time. And he's just such a joy to watch. And on the question, like you just asked, Max, if he was the best midfielder ever for us, I'd say something similar. I'd say post 2000s, which is when I've been alive and watched Newcastle play, that nothing comes close to him at all. But I wouldn't say ever, because the likes of, you've got Gaza, you've got Beardsley, and I've only saw small highlights of them. So But yeah, I'd say that's a sort of fair analysis so far.
And even that's, first of all, it's depressing. You just gave your date of birth roughly, and that is very depressing for me. But more, I'm inclined to agree. You mentioned something there about him not losing the ball. Is his off the ball movement, as someone that watches him regularly, a comment on that, Joel. How has gone on record and mentioned this about how important he is, obviously in possession, but also off the ball as well.
He seems to have this innate ability to just be at the right position, like be in the right position in the pitch at the right time, defensively and attackingly. That is, I mean, I can speak about him off ball a lot, but it's just even when he's on the ball, I have to rave about that. The final, he does this through ball. You'll when you watch him, you'll see this. He does this through ball in the final third. It's the same one every time when he cuts the entire passing lanes between the defense and the midfielders, and it's like them through balls to the inside the 6-yard box. And I've not seen a player progress the ball that much at all before. It's on the level of De Bruyne, what he does. It really is.
Yeah. Well, those conversations aren't exaggerated. Those conversations aren't, there's obviously lots of rumors floating around. Oh, Madrid and City are looking in favour. It's all nonsense at this stage, we hope. But, that is where he could be playing. He is up there. I think in most people's opinions, he's up where some of maybe the best in the world at this stage, certainly in the performances he's given. But yeah, I completely agree. Matt, what about you? Where does he rank for you in your lifetime? And maybe if a comment on the performance at the weekend.
Yeah, I'd probably say in my lifetime he is. Well, I would say he's the closest probably to him will probably be Johan Cabaye or you say Mikel Merino, possibly for that short period. But Bruno just seems a cut above any midfielder I've seen in my lifetime. I can't speak on behalf of before me, but you compare obviously you got Gary Speed on there, Rob Lee. I can imagine he'll be in the similar ilk if. Sorry, go on, Stu.
I was just going to agree with you. I was going to comment on what Black Mamba said. You've pulled that there. I was going to mention it. He said Speed and Lee, and for me that's the same. I'm assuming roughly at least the same age or at least as old as him. Having watched those players again, that sort of level is where you're hitting at. You were saying that essentially he's maybe the best, and you mentioned Cabaye there, and he would have been the second for me before. I think I remember saying similar about Cabaye, always the best in Speed and Lee and things like that. It's as much about his decision making and his football brain. If you remember his debut where he came on just for the last 5-10 minutes, who was that against? I guess producer Mark will know. Someone will pull that for us. But he came on for the last 5-10 minutes. We were winning, and he just ran at people. I took the ball, and he just moved with it forward. You're saying moving through the lines, as you're saying moving forward, progressing the play. And even at that point, even under Howe, we weren't really doing that often. He was fantastic. But Matt, sorry, you were saying I rudely interrupted you.
Yeah, it's okay. I haven't luckily been enough to see him in live yet. Obviously, we watch what we do on television, but if you look at his positioning and where he plays, he seems like a complete midfielder. Many days nowadays people are going, oh, well, is he an 8 or is he a 6? Or, everyone's wants to put players in certain positions, but it seems like to me he's the complete midfielder. He can play number 6, he can break up play, he can tackle. He can get himself out of little tight situations and go on the counter-attack, or he can play in that more advanced position where he's in the 8 and he's pushing on and he's driving at defenders and he's poking the ball in between the lines. It does seem to me he's a complete midfielder, and whereas before you wouldn't see many players at Newcastle who were. But when he first signed, I was very surprised to see a Brazil international join us. At the time we were. It shows a lot about his character as well. Because as we can see, everyone loves him, but to join a team at his ability and his level at the time he did, fair play to him, because that just shows a lot about his character.
We were on last week with Keith Downey, Sky Sports, and he'd mentioned about the fact that he thinks Trippier, and who we'll talk about later on tonight, was a massive factor in that kind of decision of him coming and joining the club. That Bruno was looking at this Champions League level player in Bruno and saying he's joined this project, he wants to do it, and has been on record a number of times and said, none of these players have release fees. Like none of these players had get out fees, like relegation fees, that sort of thing. They were in there for the long haul, essentially. You'd like to think. So yeah, I think you're quite right. I completely agree, Matt. It says a lot to his character. And he's very solid. I was watching the Arsenal-Liverpool game, and it's not a knock on the fella, but your boy Fabio Viera came on, and could be a great player. I don't know too much about him, but blimey, he is thin. Like, really wafy. And my dad was watching it with me, and we both looked at each other. I was like, he looks like you'd blow him over, and a strong breeze would blow him over. And it made me think, because he's centre mid as well, but Bruno is strong. He's not, he's not just, how we handy midfielder like Ben Arfa was. He's quite stocky as well, I suppose. But players that can just about ride tackles and do things. Like he can do it all. Ride tackles, he can pass. His stats are right up there with the very best in the Premier League. So yeah, for me, I completely agree with all three. Yeah, I do think I think he's certainly the best in my lifetime. Even in the short period he's played, you can just tell that he has it about him. He has everything to be an absolutely world-class player if he's not already. I imagine it's quite a short answer to this. Well, potentially. No player's perfect. Is there one thing you would like to see him do differently? I'll caveat this slightly by saying Bruno himself has said intimated that he wants to be played further up the pitch. Or likes being played or used to being played up there. He did whenever Shelby was playing and he was in the anchor role, and it allowed him to go forward and score more goals. And he still scored there. Is there anything you would change, Max, about how Bruno plays? Anything you'd like to add to his game to make him more complete, to be I suppose to be a perfect player?
It's hard to say because he's really good at everything.
Yeah.
I would say score goals, but then he scored 2 goals this weekend, and his passing is good, his dribbling is good, his defending is good, his physicality is good. I can't really think of anything. He's a great on-field tactician. I think he's on the right place and at the right time. So for me, it's really hard to say. Actually, he's a complete midfielder in my opinion.
No, and that's it. That's as good an answer as any. Joel, could you see Bruno being a potential captain in the future for the club?
I mean, he's learned English ridiculously fast. It shows his dedication and his, motivation to really want to learn the language. And he said in pretty much every interview he's done regarding the club that he wants to be like a legend here. So, I mean, 100% I can see him as a captain. And just elaborating as well on that question of what I'd like to see. This would just be for purely entertainment purposes. But I don't know if you remember his debut when he first came on for like literally 2 or 3 minutes. And he was really trying to impress the crowd. And I mean, you can tell he's a typical Brazilian, and he'd done this like I don't know, like a 10-second skill montage. When he really was just going for it. And I haven't actually seen it since. I think it was just to get the sort of crowd thing. But I'd love him to be to do more sort of skills and stuff like that. But that would just be for entertainment purposes only. Because I know he's a Brazilian. He's got it in him.
You take the skill, but then you take maybe the other side of things. As Black Mamba said there, it's to temper himself. So watching his temperament and things like that. Passion from him and Joe, but sometimes can lead him to go pick battles that are better let go. So something maybe he could get a handle on a little better. That's a very good point. Matt, so same question for you then. If there's anything else you can add to that.
No, I'd have to agree with Max. I can't really see where you could improve his game at the moment because he seems to be ticking all boxes. You could probably say maybe he's heading, but he scored a header the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah, he scored 2 for us. He's never scored a header before he joined Newcastle. Now he's got 2 in like 6 months, and 2 crackers, 2 absolutely brilliant headers. Yeah,
great headers. It's really hard to say because I can't really think of part of his game which needs working on, to be honest. Maybe speed, but how can you improve your speed? That's just maybe great running every day. I don't know. For me, he's just a complete player.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's the first name in the team sheet, arguably apart from maybe Trippier, but we'll have a chat about that. Okay, well, on to the next topic then, and it's something that has been talked about by a lot of different outlets and certainly social media. Despite our usual sort of negativity as Newcastle fans, we're getting a bit carried away maybe, and it's about Europe. Newcastle find itself in 6th. We were 5th for a very short period of time, and then Manchester United beat Everton on late Sunday evening, and that put us down to 6th. Now we obviously play Manchester United this Sunday coming, which is a real marker to set down for where we are this season. To caveat everything that we're going to talk about now, Eddie Howe said himself, this is a transition season. I don't think they expected to be where they are. There were stories out today saying that the money in January could be a lot more, or certainly more than they expected, because we're doing so well. And if we keep up this thing, because basically we could be fast tracking this project because we're ahead of schedule or where we need to be. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. It's been 10 games, but saying that, Max, are we going to qualify for Europe this season?
I don't think so. It's hard to say because we came off 2 games against Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, where we all were like, "Oh, this is not good enough. This is not gonna hold up." And then we have these 2 games where we absolutely smash Fulham and Brentford. So it's very 2 different type of for 4 games. It's very 2 different ends of the spectrum. It's a very back and forth kind of thing, and it's hard to put like where exactly are we in between? Are we in between? Are we this side or that side? So for me, it's so hard to tell, and we also get so easily carried away, as you say, with these good results, and we also get very negative when you have bad results. So it's about finding the middle ground, and I'd be really happy if we qualify Europe. I think we have the capacity to qualify for Europe, but I don't think we will do it because I think there's more to come from other teams, and right now the table is a bit uneasy because some teams have less games played and so forth. But I really hope so, but I don't think so.
You said it's a bit unbalanced. Is it unbalanced? I mean, I'm gonna pull the top 5 and tell me which one sounds out of place. So Arsenal, City, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United. I don't think there's anyone in that top 5 that's out of place. You could argue Arsenal, maybe. Liverpool should be there. I think that top 5 is settled enough and normal enough. You've got Liverpool. They're 10th at the moment and probably will pick up and climb. Their squad's maybe, and manager is a bit too good to be down there. I don't know out of the rest of the teams. Maybe Brighton, but they've lost Potter now, so it just has to have an effect. Who is better than us? Certainly at home. I'm not sure about away. That remains to be seen. They had Kev Lawson was on the pod on the Tyne this afternoon. He does stats. You see him on Twitter. He's absolutely brilliant. And he was basically talking about the fact that our stats, as you've probably seen yourselves, have been phenomenal this year. And even in those games where we haven't maybe been as good, so like Palace, we're shooting in the whole game. Bournemouth maybe should have potentially won. If we'd won those 2 games and we drew them both, we'd be 3rd. We've lost against City. This is last year, by the way. Liverpool last year, Spurs, I think it is. And we've lost against Liverpool this year, extremely controversially, even though it was. I think we're really, really solid, and the stats back that up. If you're saying not Europe, Max, does that mean you think we'll be 8th or lower? Because 7th will get Europe.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
maybe 7th. 7th.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be Champions League. I'm not necessarily Champions League. Sorry, maybe we should have clarified that.
No. It's I didn't think about 7th. I forgot that's European place. Now that's completely possible. I changed my stance.
Well, no, it's not a yes or no. It's a guessing thing. I mean, Black Mamba's made a really good point there. Something we talked about during those 2 games where we'd be blips that you've mentioned, Max, and it's about the squad. Our first team is great. I think we talked about this in previous pods. Like, does our first team beat anybody? Like, are we potentially able? Maybe not Man City, but we outplayed Man City for a lot of that game. So maybe, obviously there's VAR and luck. Joel, what about you? First of all, do you think we can get Europe? And if you can, where do you think we'll place this year?
I think that we can't get Europe, but I do also think at the same time it's probably more reactionary to say after them 2 performances, like, oh yeah, we're 100%. It's definitive that we are going to get Europe. But I'll say the same thing as what I said at the start of the season. I think it all comes down to keeping, our most impactful players fit. The likes of Bruno, Wilson, Maxi, even Shaw now in defence. You wouldn't want to see him go with Trippier. If you keep them players fit, then we've got an absolute bang chance. But if you even lose one or 2 of them, it then starts to go, slightly inconsistent. So I'd say it is literally all down to fitness.
I mean, Connor Pill agrees exactly what you're saying. Depends how lucky we are with injuries. And yeah, you're probably right. But that's most teams, isn't it? And I suppose it depends how lucky we are and other teams as well. Matt, what's your stance on this?
I feel as though we probably will just get into Europe. You look at our home record. I think we've only lost once in the last 15 at home.
Yep.
Now, we've seemed to have got a fortress at home now, and it seems like we're very hard to beat. So that could be a big factor in whether we do get to Europe or not. But I also feel like the injuries obviously do play a part. But, we've had a few injuries recently. And yes, we haven't been winning games. We haven't been losing them either. And it shows, we haven't got the biggest of squads regarding strength. But, January's around the corner. And I do feel as though, we might bring in possibly 2 or 3 more players. And it depends on who we do sign there. If we have a good window, and bring in a good 2 or 3 players, and I do feel as though we will get into Europe because, you look at the squad. I'll go into every game now thinking we're going to win this. Like you said earlier, we push Man City, right to the wire. We should have really won maybe with that penalty shout. John Stones, fouling Shaw, was it?
It was handball. Well, pushed him over, sure.
Pushed him over, but yeah, I feel as though there will be a big possibility, maybe in 7th or possibly 6th, because if you compare to the other teams around there, I wouldn't say many of them are performing any better than we are. I know it's still early days, but I think it depends really what happens in January. I think that's the biggest factor.
Yeah, I mean, with 2 games coming up, well, a lot of games coming up, but the 2 ones that stand out, I believe it's Manchester United on Sunday, and I think it's Everton on Tuesday, possibly Wednesday. Wednesday. Okay, that's good actually, because before that, and then it's Spurs, I think, and then somebody else was like. But basically, Man United and Spurs are 2 away games. I think they're the games that stand out as what we might class as our rivals now for around that place, and that's very strange to say, considering this time last year we were sort of relegation fodder. If we win those 2, and it's a big if, I completely understand that, but if we win those 2 games, and Max, will come to you. If we win Manchester United, we'll win against Spurs, and let's say we win against Everton. So the next 3 games, we'll win all 3. Huge if. Are you looking at Champions League? That's 13 games gone, so you're 3rd of the way through the season. You're beating teams like Man United, you're drawing with City, you're nearly beating Liverpool. Did your feelings change on that? Are you a bit more optimistic?
Yeah, well, it comes back to the fact that, with injuries and the luck and VR and stuff like that, because then it's up to us to continue that form. And I don't know, because how said it's a transitional season, I don't know we have it in us yet, but it's also hard to tell because we have the World Cup in the middle of the season.
Good point.
Which is a factor that is hard to gather because we haven't had this before, and it's hard to take into calculation. So it would be really nice, of course, for Champions League. But it's so hard. It's the mentality switch from talking about relegation to now Champions League. It's so hard to comprehend that I don't even know how to collect my thoughts and even say something about it because it feels so wrong.
It does. It feels like you're talking about a different team. You're playing Football Manager or something. It really does. Again, it's an if, but it's more of a question for you, Joe. It's more of a thinking in the future. If we were to get Champions League football this year, and I'm not saying we will, but if we did, is that too early, do you think? Because it's way ahead of what they're talking there. I know I was saying 5 years, at least 5 years before you're getting Champions League football. To say 1 would be crazy. Is it too early, do you think? As a squad, could it deal with that? We'll obviously spend money, but what do you think?
I mean, I think it's a really hard thing to put on a timeline. Well, I wouldn't say it would be a bad thing. If we're ready, we're ready. We'll see how it goes. We'll learn from it. You'll gain experience. But I mean, if I was to really nitpick, I would rather it in maybe an upcoming season rather than this one. But I mean, I certainly, it would not be a bad thing at all. I mean, everyone would love it. City would be enormous.
It would be incredible. I mean, even Europe in general would be brilliant. The only problem with sort of regular non-Champions League Europe is it's a lot of games and it makes it a lot harder. And I think if we're looking at Europe this year, I think the project has to double down a little bit more. Now, look, we don't splash money. It's been very apparent. They're very sensible with it. They've spent very wisely. But we'll need to expand that squad because we'll need it for those games. You know, one of the reasons why West Ham maybe started quite slow is that I'm literally just reading Black Mamba's comment there as I'm saying that. Exactly what I'm saying is the fact they've been in Europe and they've had to deal with that. They have a good squad, a really good deep squad as well. But it has, as Black Mamba said, that travel will affect your form, meaning it's harder to get into next year, blah, blah, blah. So, as you say, Joel, it's a balancing act, very much so. Matt, what about, I suppose... I'm looking at our next couple of games, and producer Mark very kindly put it in for us. We've got Man United away, Everton at home, Spurs away, Villa at home, Southampton away. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. How many points would you be content with out of those 5, Matt? So between 0 and 15.
Well, you look at Man United, I'd probably say I'd be happy with a point away at Man United.
Yeah, we're always terrible there, so yeah.
Yeah, Everton, that's a home win for us. So there's 4 points. Spurs away. Well, look what happened last season. I was there and it wasn't a good day. Yeah, it wasn't a good day. So I'd probably take a loss maybe on that one. Villa at home's a win. So there's another 3 points. You're on 7 points. Then you've got Southampton away. I'd possibly say another win there as well. So, probably
looking at that.
I'd be happy with 10 points from there, but maybe, 7 or 8 points. Why not? But the only games in there I probably see are Spurs. That's a bit of a tricky one, but Man United.
If we lose any of those or we lose one of those, that's our second loss this season. 12, 13 games in. That's incredible. That is really incredible. Black Mamba saying 8 points. That's quite low. Black Mamba, that's quite low. Max, what about you? Connor, 8 to 9 points.
Yeah, I'd say around 9, 10 maybe. It's
okay.
It's easy now to say we get a win against Southampton, get a win against Everton. I feel that too. But they're still, I don't want to say good teams. I don't think they are so especially good, but they have good players. Everything can happen in a football game. It's just how it is. And but with how we played right now, if we play right now the same way, I think we could easily get 10 points.
Joel, join me on the hype train. Say 15. How many points are we getting from this?
I'd love to go in and fully expect 15 points, but I'll be honest and I'll say it's around the 10-point mark. Yeah, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves too early. But I mean, that Southampton away game, if that's anything like last year, because I went to that and that was just absolutely brilliant. So. Yeah. And that was Bruno's first. Was it Bruno's first goal?
Yes, that's right. The back heel, of course.
Yeah. Because it was funny because obviously my manager, he was taking the mick. Like he wasn't taking the mick. He was really annoyed that we'd rescheduled the game and we had all these.
Of course.
It was Chris Wood and Bruno Gamara as he scored. The 2 new signings, and it was just the best day ever.
With the Dan Burn assist for Bruno's goal.
Yes, Dan Burn.
That was amazing. I'd forgotten about that. I completely blocked that out. Oh, that was class. Yeah, very good point. I mean, I genuinely think there needs to be this is happening. There needs to be a shift, and it will happen probably later on when we're consistently up there and all. But if we're looking at those teams around us, and at the moment they're just not there. They're just not at it. Those teams are just not at our level. The way we're playing. I don't mean we've ridden our luck and talking about Chelsea there and other teams like that. Like, remember that Chelsea game under Bruce where we're 1-0 and Isaac Hayden scored and we're absolutely awful for the whole game. And it was daylight robbery, like that win. But we're just not doing that. Like, we're battering teams, and even teams we aren't beating, we're playing very, very well. It really is. It's a great time. Okay. Well, we'll move on to our last topic before we have a finish off with a bit of a game. And it's about our best performers. So we're all waxing lyrical about how good we've been, and we've just been great. We've talked about Bruno, so we'll not bring Bruno into this because we've mentioned him. And a lot of people would say he is the best. And whether or not you agree he's the best, we're thinking about our other best performers. Matt, I'll start off with you this time, and I'd like to know who your performer of the season is so far and why. If it's Bruno, you can say it's Bruno, but I want you to give you your number 2 then, all right, because we've talked enough about Bruno. So either your performer, or if it's Bruno, your second best performer of the year so far.
I think the easy one is to say Bruno, but quietly I'd probably say Miggy. I feel as though he's been here a few seasons now, and I feel as though the player we've got now is the player we thought we were signing those years ago. He's actually contributing now with goals and assists. Hopefully he keeps it up. But
his XG, his wee fact for you, his XG is now better than when it was when he was playing at his peak at Atlanta. So his XG this season is better, and he was scoring goals for fun over at Atlanta. Yeah. So that's why we signed him, So that's a very interesting one. So I completely agree with you. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, I've got another couple of players here. I'd probably say, like, you got Kieran Trippier. I feel like Pope as well. He's been a top performer. And I feel like Botman as well. Silently, I think Botman's been doing a great job when he plays. He's a bit of a Rolls Royce, isn't he? Every time he plays, he doesn't really put a foot wrong. And it seems like we've got a proper player there. So I'd probably put those players in the same group. But Miggy would probably just edge it, because I feel as though he's, the work that he's put in previous seasons, he didn't seem to have a lot of luck. And I get he had Bruce as his coach, and he was running into blind alleys. But it seems now, especially with the arrival of Bruno, we seem to be playing to his strengths. He's getting into the little pockets, the little 1-2s, the little connection that those two have got is just something else. And it seems like Miggy really is, flourishing now in this system and under Eddie Howe as well. We've got a more attacking team, and before it just seemed like we were just sitting and Miggy just get the ball and just sprint and run into the middle of nowhere. But now we've got a real organisation and a real, attacking team that can actually suit the way Miggy plays. And it's just great to see. So I'd probably say Miggy, for me, just edges it.
There's Black Mamba agreeing with you there. Miggy's played every game so far. It's a very good point, actually. Had real doubts about him and his ability at start of this season, but he's put in the work and he's getting the goals. I mean, he was doing that during pre-season. 6 goals or something, didn't he? 2 against... who was that against pre-season? Spanish team.
Benfica.
Portuguese team, sorry, Benfica. He was in Benfica too. At Stadio de la Vez. Yeah, he's been really good. He's been class. I couldn't agree more. Matt, really good points. Joel, what about you?
I think I'm going to have to go for Kieran Trippier. I think he's just ridiculously consistent. Like, perform at the level he does every single week is just sensational. And I was speaking about this in the group chat the other day. I've not seen a right back who makes as much of an impact in a game, from that position. Because I mean, it's a position you look at most right backs at goals and assists and maybe key chances created, and they're all low numbers, but he creates like stuff that like. He'll create more than a central attacking mid for maybe like a lower half Premier League team does an entire season from right back. He's just got this. His right foot's just unbelievable.
Are you all too young to remember Andy Griffin?
I've heard of him.
I remember him.
I'll give you an impact score against Juventus in the Champions League. There's an impact for you. 1-0 win. I completely agree. Sorry to interrupt there, but and I think you made that point in the group chat, and it's such a good point. Like for a fullback, like genuinely impact games like that. Yeah. It's almost like
he came on in the cup. He was a fair bit ago now, and it was a nothing game. We created nothing. Yeah. He came on and solely won with a game from right back. It was unreal.
Yeah, he's such a leader as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he's a true leader. Like I think you could argue he's as good as a signing as Bruno, because I mean for 12 million.
Oh yeah, 12 million. I mean that's crazy. I know he's 31 or was 32 now. He was 31 was signing, but I'll get to this. But he's just incredible. He's such an impactful player to be on the team, both off the pitch as well and on it as well. He really is a leader. Interesting thing for you is this with Trippier. So if you do the Fantasy Premier League, as a lot of people do, it tweets out for your own team who the man of the match is, and obviously it tweets out who's voted every single week this year, regardless of what's happened. And this is for both sides. Trippier's got man of the match. This is only on FPL. It's not like giving the award every week. Like on Saturday, I was like, oh, Bruno's nailed on. Surely, nope, Trippier. Well, again,
Yeah.
so people are consistently voting, and they see what he can do, and they see the impact he has, which is, you're quite right, Max. Tell me why Isak is the no, who's your best performer of the year?
Yeah, definitely Emil Kraft. 25 minutes
He
against
took a bullet.
Now, considering both my Swedish men are injured, it's hard for me to say. No, I'm kidding. I'd say because maybe not the best performer, but a bit of an unsung hero, Fabio Viera, who's been playing pretty much every game. And for someone who, when he came to Newcastle, was known as a bit of a fancy center back with maybe not so good at the physical part of it, the defending, like he could ping a good ball and the passing really good, but he lost his head a couple of times, got easy yellow cards, lost duels physically, to now where he looks like a physical monster. It looks like he's bulked up quite a bit, and I feel like he's improved a lot during Eddie Howe, one of many players. So for me, him, and also the goal against Nottingham, not to forget, that was an absolute peach of a goal. Kick-started our season really nice. So for me, him is maybe, I would say, maybe an unsung hero, not the best performer, but I'd agree with Matt and Joel with Almiron and Trippier, and of course Bruno as well.
Can anyone tell me, you including you, Max, how much we signed Fabio Viera for? This is not the quiz, by the way, but it leads us nicely into it. How much we signed Fabio Viera for, and who we signed him from?
Yeah, it was
3.5 million. Was it?
That's what I was thinking. 3.5.
Deportivo La Coruña, right?
You know what? You're all very. I'm very excited for this quiz. That was very good.
No,
Deportivo, Max is correct. Deportivo, 3.60, but I'll give you 3.5 because what's 0.10 million between friends? So there you go. It's thank you very much this is Dot. Don't have a name here, but thank you very much for that comment about us improving and being the biggest NUFC fan page. That'll be great. And Black Mama said 3 million. Almighty close, guys. But yeah. So where are we here? Right. I was going to ask you a question. You've actually answered it, which is Almiron now becoming the player we thought we bought under Rafa? You've answered that. He is, I think, is the thing. My last question of the night before we get into the game, and it'll take us in for 5-10 minutes to finish off, is about Kieran Trippier and the fact he's 32. How long, in your opinion, how many more years, to what age do you think Trippier can play at the top level, at this level, in our squad starting each week? What do you think? Matt, I'll start off with you. So he's 32 at the moment. He's just turned 32. So how many more years he got in him, do you think?
Forever, hopefully.
Robot legs. Let's do it.
The way he plays now, it seems like he's in his early 20s, to be honest. It doesn't look like he's lost any pace. It seems like he thinks, one step ahead of everybody else. So I'll probably say to, his late 30s. I think he's got another, I don't know what he feels like now. Like maybe like another 4 or 5 years. I'd like to think that, because when you see him play, it doesn't seem like a lad who's, got a few years left. I don't know. It depends, obviously, how he's feeling.
It obviously had that one injury last year against Villa, where he went off in a couple of weeks. So I don't think maybe a month or so he was out a wee bit. So that might, obviously, as you've all said tonight already, we don't know how injuries will shape. Joel, what do you think? Do you disagree?
I think at least another 4 years in him. It's all about, like you said there, because trying not to be, injured, get injured and stuff like that. But I mean, but it is scary, because I mean, if you look at Ronaldo, say even 4 years ago, how much faster he was to compare. I'm the biggest fan of Ronaldo, but you can visually see now he's nowhere near as fit as he used to be, and that can sort of happen within like a year or two. So fingers crossed, but I would like to see him play at least another 4 seasons. So.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of comments there. I'm kind of agreeing with you both. Connor Pill saying 35, 36, doesn't look like he's slowing down. Black Mamba, 3 to 4 seasons in the first 11. Max, do you disagree with any of that? Are you pretty much the same?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I'd say maybe a bit less, maybe like 2 2-3 years because, but it's so hard to tell because I think he has lost pace. I think he gets in a 1v1 run a sprint against a pacey winger, he probably loses it. But as Matt said, he's also very smart. He's one step ahead of the wingers, and as long as he can keep on doing that, he can play for at least 5 more years because he's his right foot. He got a really good delivery, good passing. The only thing that's my problem is the pace, but if he keeps on doing the thing he does now, then it doesn't really matter. So hopefully for a long time, I think he could be someone to really carry us forward during this coming years.
I kind of disagree with you, to be honest. Not massively, just a little bit. I think he's 2. It sounds like, and I mean, not including this season, so maybe 2 after this season before it starts to hit on him a wee bit and you start to notice that. And I think there'll be contingency plans in there. I will be flabbergasted if he's not part of Eddie Howe's coaching staff in the next 5 years.
Yeah, could be.
I'll be standard. That just is. That's going. If that's not on the contract, I would be surprised. I think that's going to happen. Yeah,
Richie.
Richie as well. I know.
Yeah.
He'd been in the squad about 6 weeks when he already got injured, and he was basically part of the coaching staff then. He was on crutches. He was in the team photo. He was barking instructions at the sidelines. He's just a leader, and how I recognise that he's a great person to have around. So I hope he never leaves in general, but maybe 2 to 3 years possibly. You're probably on the money there. All right, guys. Well, we're going to play a game. We were going to play this last week. We ran out of time with Keith and others. We had a very long pod last week because we have a special guest, and we're going to play a game. Now I know that you've both played a game before where it has been Defend the Indefensible, which is borrowed / stolen from Fighting Talk. This is another game that's borrowed / stolen from another football thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is, so in case they try and sue us. And it's very simple. I'm going to explain the rules. It's called Name That Tune. Name that tune. Nothing to do with music, don't worry, but had to fit a Newcastle pun in there somewhere. And what we're going to do is I'm going to give you 5 clues. We're going to do 3 players. We'll have 2 and a tiebreaker. Well, if you all get 3, I think I have 2 and a tiebreaker, yeah. I have 3, so it might be a draw here or someone's going to win. I'm going to give you a player, and it's a player because I want to be nice to you that has played during the Mike Ashley era, so it's not someone like Jackie Milburn or someone you're not going to have heard of. And I'm going to give you 5 clues. You can only guess once per clue, okay? So if I said, for example, this is a made-up one, clue number 1, he's Newcastle's top scorer, blah, 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 and Max guessed, and Max said, I don't know,
Alexander Isak, yeah.
Isak, and I was like, no, wrong. Max can't guess for the duration of that round. So as in until I read it the next clue. So basically it's a bit like poker. So if you show your hand early and you get it wrong, then that gives someone else a chance to do it. You don't have to guess. If you don't want to have a guess, you don't have to. If you do want to have a guess, you have to shout your name out. Okay? That's fastest fingers first. All right? And I'll go to you and we'll ask it that way. Because otherwise you're going to shout random things and I won't know who's doing what. Yeah, should be fun. Okay, if you don't get it, then I might ask you a new clue. I might just give no one the point. But hopefully someone gets at least one with 3 players. So you either get a point each or someone's going to win it. You ready? Yeah, you all understand?
Yep.
Cool. Right. Okay. First clue. First player. I was born on the 7th of March, 1987, which makes me 35 years old. That's clue. 35-year-old player, born 1987. If you get this, I'll fall off a chair. No one. Not a clue. Next clue.
Yeah,
That's fine. Okay. Didn't expect anyone to get that one. Clue number 2. I first played for Lyon in my home country of France, where I scored 7 goals in 64 appearances. So he's 35 years old. So probably. Maybe still playing, maybe not. 7 goals and 64 appearances for Lyon. He's born and played, first of all, in France. All these players play for Newcastle, by the way. That's fairly obvious, but I mean that's going to be an obvious thing. That's the one thing.
I'm tempted, but I think I'm going
Right,
to.
Joel,
I'm going to hang up. I'm going to hang up.
Joel, have a pop.
Lower Karemi.
Incorrect. Max and Matt, do you want to have a guess this round? You may as well. No harm in having a go.
Yeah,
Producer
I have
Mark
one.
thinks he knows it.
I can guess one. I don't remember the name exactly. Mbanga and Wiwa. What the fuck is it? The center back.
Mbiwe. Yanga Mbiwe. It's not Yanga Mbiwe. Matt, do you want to have a guess? See if you can pull it out.
Hassan Banafa.
Correct.
Oh,
well
nice.
done. What a guess. I'll give you the next three. See, you always should have a guess. 3, I joined Newcastle initially on loan and then left initially on loan going to Hull. Might have got it then. 4, I think people would have got a clue 4. I scored a wonder goal against Bolton where I ran the length of the pitch with the ball before slotting home past Bolton keeper Adam Bogdan. And number 5, I played predominantly under Alan Pardew. Okay, Matt, you've got 1 point. So if you get one or the next one, you win. You have to try and stop Max and Joel. All right. Okay, clue number 1. I was born in England on the 31st of October. So birthday's coming up in 1991. So age 30, born in England. Not much there. Probably not going to have much there. You want to have a guess just in case? England, age 30?
Could be anyone.
I'll point out none of these players will ever currently be playing for Newcastle. So that's probably what I'm not going to pick someone that's currently in the squad. Okay, we'll move on. Question 2 or clue 2. I made my move to Newcastle United in 2008. And my debut match was a 2-0 defeat to Peterborough United in the League Cup third round in the 2008-2009 season. So signed for Newcastle in 2008. He's about 30. He's English, and he made his debut in a 2-0 defeat to Peterborough United. Do you say something, Matt?
No. Go on next.
Oh God! You have to guess that.
I'm not risking it. Do you lose a point if you guess wrong?
No. There's no loss.
No, because actually, no. Next clue.
Okay, all right. Max, you want to guess, Joel?
No, I have no clue.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't know.
This is hard. It gets easier, but it's tricky the first 2. 3, I didn't settle at Newcastle United despite being a talented right back. I was loaned out to the following clubs over the next 4 seasons: Gateshead, Carlisle United, Sheffield Wednesday, MK Dons. Oh, Matt.
Is it James Tavernier?
It is! Oh, Matt, that's impressive. He's won it. It's very... Joel, honestly, were you going to say James Tavernier?
No, I was thinking of Ferguson for some reason.
Really? I'll be honest, I wouldn't have got that. That's really good, Matt. I would not have got that. So Shrewsbury, Rotherham, that's a lot of clubs. And when you think about the next clues and what's happened, before moving to Wigan on a permanent deal in 2014, clue 4, I only lasted 1 year at Wigan and was loaned to Bristol City. Could not stay at a club, couldn't hold down a club before transfer to my current club. This is a good one, where I've won 2 league titles, 1 cup, and came runner-up in the Europa League. 5, I also captain my current club and take penalties. Last season, I made my 300th appearance for the club. That's madness. That is crazy that a player could not buy a starting spot on a club and now, very well respected. Go down as a legend at Rangers, you really will. James Tavernier, very good. The last one then, it's all playing for pride here, Max and Joel. Absolute pride and absolutely decimate them, Matt, for a clean sweep. Last
Do
one.
we all have a guess around, just to clarify? If
you can guess. You've one guess around. So if you want to guess, you guess. So there really is no reason not to have a guess, is what I'm saying, per round. We'll work on it next week. We'll fine tune it next week. I'll change the clues. I'm only going to do 4 clues here because the first clue is too hard. I'm just giving you the age. You're not going to get it with the age. So here's the first clue. I was born on the 20th of April 1976. That makes me 46. In Ireland, I was signed. I signed for Newcastle United for a fee of 1.5 million in 1997. 1.5 mil, 97, and I am 46. So you may as well have a guess. You get it wrong, doesn't matter. Only risk is someone else might get it after you if you give away your guess. But if you think you know what, you want to hold on to it, then you maybe, it's hard. Hard going. No guesses?
I got
an idea. I've got an idea.
You got an idea? Not going to say it? Okay. Matt's playing this properly.
It worked well for me last time, so I'm going to do it again.
Okay, that's fine. Number 2 then. I'm going to look here. Oh, producer Mark thinks he thought he'd known the last 2. Clue number 2. I've played for Aston Villa, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, obviously, Blackburn, Man City, and Stoke. I may have said Man City twice. I'll give them again. Aston Villa, Stoke, Man City, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Blackburn, and Newcastle. A lot of clubs. Interestingly, played for all 3 Northeast clubs. Interestingly. That's a pretty cool fact, which I didn't know.
He's Irish, yeah? He's Irish.
He's Irish, yeah. Before researching it, I did not know that, so... Go and have a guess.
Go.
Can I guess?
Yes, go ahead. Always going for it.
The age is 3.
No.
I'm
not doing it.
Joel?
Honestly, I could not think of an Irish player above the age of 30 who played for us. Like, I can't see it.
Okay, that's fine. 3. On the 1st of February 2009, which is not almost before transfer windows, in 2009, February 2009, I transferred to Man City, one of those talked about, for $6 million on a 4.5-year contract. While I was there, Man City qualified for the Champions League for the first time in its history and finished 3rd in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Go on, Matt.
Shy Gibbon.
Yeah, he's got it. The king of this. He's Trounches. The last one, might have gave you this one. Clue number 4, I was goalkeeper. Again, there's a clue. When Thierry Henry famously handballed the ball into the net, sending France to the World Cup and Ireland out of the playoffs. That was the last one that might have given you. I've one more. No, I don't. I'm telling you that. I do have one more if you want it. Now, Matt's Trounches. Do you want one more?
Go on.
Can I jump out of this? Just so I've got a 100% record.
No, you have to keep going. Very impressed with them. I am mildly impressed. I think it's quite hard. Okay. Right. 4 clues again. We'll do 4. We'll not do 5 because the date one's pretty on its own. You don't get a guess really. So clue number 1. I was born the 4th of January 1986. So I'm 36 years old in England. And I can play fullback, winger, or midfielder. They're my traditional. So a lot of positions. A bit of a handyman. Fullback, winger, and midfielder. I'm 36 years old, and I'm English. Obviously, played for Newcastle as well. That's the important thing to think about.
It doesn't play for Newcastle now.
None of them will ever play for Newcastle now. I'll not pick a player that currently plays for us.
Winger. Danny Simpson.
No, good guess. So do like hearing it, just like hearing his name. So not Danny Simpson. Matt. You know it's not Danny Simpson.
Not sure yet. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Okay. Nothing. Okay. Second one. I have won silverware with Newcastle United. In 2006, I won the Intertoto Cup with Newcastle United, which definitely counts. In 2006, before moving to Aston Villa that summer on a loan and then on a permanent deal.
Yeah.
Matt, you will get this. It is James Milner. Very good, very good. He's destroyed you. That's embarrassing. Yeah. That's probably embarrassing. Clue number 3.
I wasn't good at the last game though, so I have to.
Yeah, well, that's true. I knew you were all right. Actually, when you messing. 3 was I was PFA Young Player of the Year 2009 when he played for us. And then number 4, I've won. This is a good fact, just anyway. I think I've won the Premier League 3 times with 2 different clubs, the FA Cup twice with 2 different clubs, and the Champions League. The 2 clubs are Man City and Liverpool. That's of course James Milner. Very good, guys. Thank you very much, Matt. That was phenomenal. Massively impressive. Well done.
Yeah, enjoyed that.
We'll finish off as usual with a very quick score prediction. And Max, you're on a hell of a run with your predictions. So I'm assuming you're going to predict a nice healthy draw, and we'll absolutely thrash them again. You don't have to. I'm only joking.
Yeah, of course. 1-1 draw.
So what do you think, Max? Score prediction for Sunday?
Yeah, 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
Wilson score, and they have maybe Jadon Sancho score.
Yeah. Get your bets on, lads. 4-1 Troughton. We're going to absolutely throttle them. Thanks to Max. Joe, what about you? Score?
As ever, I'm going to be an optimist and go for a 2-1 Newcastle win.
Love it. Matt, what about you?
I don't know whether to go with a 2-2 or a 2-1 to us.
Yeah.
I did say a draw earlier, so I'll probably go 2 each.
Yeah, that sounds downright sensible. Yeah, it's hard to call. I think I said we win 2-0 against Brentford. I'm obviously won significantly more than that. This will come back to bite me in the arse, I'm sure it will. I don't know what Man United are yet. I think that's maybe the best. I was going to say I don't rate them, but that's not true. I just don't know what they are yet. So I'm so unsure as to how to call it. I think it's a real sort of litmus test for the rest of our season. I think with a lot of people coming back from injury, Maxi looked like he was chomping at the bit to get on Saturday. I think we'll beat them. I think we'll with the beating of them. I just think we can beat them. We'll try
Matty Longstaff, get him in the squad to score a screamer.
Yes, get him on from Mansfield. I think we'll win. I think something like Joel's saying, a 2-1. I can see them scoring. I can't see them scoring. They're at home. Look, they're favourites. They are. But I can just see us winning. I think we're really solid. If we play to our potential and we don't have any daft VAR decisions or stupid injuries or something like that, I see no reason why we can't go there and we can't take all three. I would be very content with the point. Very, very content anyway. And look, our record is dreadful at Old Trafford. Absolutely dreadful. So we've no right to be going even now. I think we're going to do it. But that being said, either a high score draw, or maybe a wee sneaky tight win if we can do it. Guys, we'll look forward to that. And as usual, stick with us, folks watching. We'll have the preview up before the game, and then straight after we'll have the match analysis or the match review from us as well. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, for your comments. As I said before, please do give us a like, give us a subscription or subscribe. It does help us grow. And gentlemen, thanks for your time this evening. I'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Bye.
See you later.